Hey everyone, I have a few videos for you guys this evening, and the first is just a quick July wrap-up. I hope it's going to be quick, because I've done two separate reviews on two of the books that I read this month, and I only ended up reading three in total, but I also read some snippets of some other books, so I'll talk about those as well. Okay, so in July, I read, the first thing I finished, I believe, is Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie, and I completely loved this, and I feel like I knew I was going to. This is the first Miss Marple book. In total, it's my, let me see, one, two, I think this is my seventh Christie. I've read And Then There Were None, and I read the entirety of Miss Marple's short story collection, and then I've also read the first four Poirot books. So I think this is my seventh Christie. Oh, that's the other thing that I want to talk about, though, is some of the Poirot's early cases stories in this video. But anyway, so Murder at the Vicarage. This is the first Miss Marple novel. I'm not really sure what order it was in Christie's publishing order, but it was originally published in 1930. And I think a lot of the Miss Marple short stories came out way before this, but yeah, this was one where I had seen the Marple adaptation several times, but luckily, when I read this, I hadn't seen it in a while, because a little while ago I made this rule for myself where if I was getting ready to read a Poirot or a Christie, I wasn't allowed to rewatch that adaptation. So I haven't seen this adaptation in a while. So that was cool, because I remembered the storyline and the structure and a lot of the characters, but I didn't remember the whodunit. Except I think maybe I think I remembered, like, a little bit before the end of the book, and luckily, they don't really change the adaptation that much, and it was a really great adaptation because it had a very awesome cast, which is the thing that I love about both Marple and Poirot, is that they always have such great guest stars, and a lot of people guest starred on Marple or Poirot before they made their big break, because, okay, for several people, it definitely wasn't that way. They were definitely big before they went on the show, but for people like Michael Fassbender and like J.J. Field, and there's just a lot of people who they did Marple or Poirot very early in their career, before they were big names, and so that was just really cool. And I love rewatching the Michael Fassbender episode of Poirot, like, all the time. It's really good. But anyway, so yes, love this one. And yeah, so basically the only thing I can say about this as far as plot is it starts in Miss Marple's village, and there is a murder at her local vicarage. And, you know, there's some people in town who are new, and there's some people who are just temporarily staying in town. And she, of course, immediately starts, like, observing people after the murder and, like, getting into the investigation, and it's wonderful, and I love her character so much. So yeah, love that. And then the other two that I completed in their entirety were Heart's Blood by Juliet Marillier, which I put up a full review on that's about 15 minutes long. So it's kind of long, but not too long. And yeah, I just completely rave about it because I was just really excited that this was my first Juliet Marillier. I was debating between that, which I owned, or I was going to say Heart's Blood, but I just said that, or Dreamer's Pool, which I had out from the library. And then I decided to start with Heart's Blood because A, it's Beauty and the Beast, B, I already owned it, and C, it's a standalone. But yeah, this story is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It's set in a fantasy world. Well, it's a fantasy world, but it's also ancient Ireland. I say ancient. Is Norman conquest kind of ancient? That might, no. Anyway, but it's like really, really old Ireland to the point where, they use names that are no longer, used commonly. The only name that I recognized in it was, Rory. All the other ones, I was just like, how do I even say this? But anyway, so yeah, it's Beauty and the Beast. It's fantasy because it's got magic. It's set in Ireland during the Norman conquest, and it's got Irish folklore, and it was just completely beautiful. And I really, really loved it. I did dock it half of a star for reasons that I think I talk about in the review. I think I docked it half a star. I'm pretty sure I gave it 4.5. And the weird thing about that book is that I did guess who the main villain was pretty much as soon as they appeared on the scene. But it didn't bother me. It was more like I was really proud of myself because the whole time I was like, you see, I told you, this person is so evil. Like, but the cool thing is there is another part of this villain's storyline that I did not guess, / see coming, but I totally should have. But yeah, but then I started freaking out when I found that out, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, so that was an amazing story, and I'm very, very glad that I started with that for my first Juliet Marillier, and I think my next one is going to be Dreamer's Pool, because I own Daughter of the Forest, but that's a huge, like, Seven Waters saga is a huge saga. It's like, I don't know, 6 books long. So it's not huge. Like, it's not like Discworld or Redwall, but it's pretty big to, like, start with the first one. When I don't have any of the others and don't intend on getting them from the library at any time soon. So I feel like Dreamer's Pool is easier because that's just like, I think there are only 2 books out for that at the time, or right now, and there might be a 3rd one coming out later this year. And also the storyline just sounds more appealing to me. So yes, that's where I'm gonna go with the Juliet Marillier direction, and I really, really loved Heart's Blood, and I would highly recommend it, and go watch my review on that. And then the last one that I completed was Daniel Deronda by George Eliot. I completely fell in love with this book, and I did a massive 30-minute review on it, so please go, and if you go watch that, please have tea and your dinner, or a snack or something, or, you know, any drink you want. I know I always say tea, but your drink of choice. But yeah, it's kind of long. And I think part of the reason is because I did, like, a giant non-spoilery section where I just talk about how I felt about the characters and the writing and stuff like that, with non-spoilery parts, because since it's this giant classic, I wanted people to have an idea of what the story and the characters were like without me giving away any of the major plot points. And then I went into this other huge section that talked about spoilers, and in that section I also make comparisons between certain things that happen in the book and the adaptation, and just what I liked better about each one and things like that. Really, I did like the book a little bit more because there were certain things the adaptation did that I was just like, okay, that's iffy. But yeah, I just really loved both overall, and I would highly recommend both. And also, the adaptation, the thing that they do perfectly right is that they have a freaking all-star cast. And a lot of these people are like people who I am seeing in all these different things now, but this was like 14 years ago at this point, so they're all kind of, they weren't all-star at this point, except maybe Edward Fox had been around for a really long time at that point. He plays Sir Hugo Mallinger. And also Barbara Hershey as well is in it. But yeah, so not going to talk about that anymore because I have a giant review of it, but it's awesome, and if you're interested in the book, go watch my review. And as I said, I have like a giant non-spoiler section for the first 16 minutes, so you don't have to worry about getting spoiled if you watch it until about like the 16-minute point. Now for things that I kind of just started and didn't finish. Unfortunately, I'm really, really behind in my buddy reading with Katie at this point because The Warden is incredibly boring and I don't want to go back to it. I keep like, it's not that I don't want to go back to it, it's that I keep avoiding going back to it because I just really am not that into it right now. I'm about halfway through, and granted, it is much better than it was at the beginning, and I do think I just need to sit down and listen to the audio and read it because I only have like maybe 3 to 4 hours left on the audio, so I need to just kind of suck it up and do it. Sorry, I have like, I don't know, I have like a bubble in my chest or something, but anyway. So yeah, I just need to suck it up and do that so that I can move on to Barchester Towers because she's already finished Barchester Towers at this point and she's just been saying how freaking awesome it is. Like she just, we were boxing the other day, actually, this was about a week ago, because it was before she went on holiday, but she just said, okay, I finished it, and you have got to read this because it's beautiful, and so I was just like, okay, yes, I do need to read that. But I haven't read anything this week, and I think it's because, I don't even have an excuse. I've just been doing other things other than reading, but I need to get back into that so that I can read those, and also so that, I can actually join her on time for reading Dr. Thorne, especially because that's the one that I'm the most excited for. I'm hoping that I'll really love Barchester Towers after the way that she raved about it. But yeah, so I just need to get those read. But yeah, so I read half of The Warden in July. And then, what else? Oh, I wanted to talk about the Poirot's Early Cases stories. I am all the way finished except for one story, which at this point I don't actually know if I'm going to read, because I didn't have time to read it before I returned it. This is The Lost Mine, and I cheated a little bit because I watched the adaptation of it because I was getting rid of Netflix at the end of July, and so I was kind of binge watching a lot of Poirot's, and that was one of the ones where I was like, oh, I'm getting ready to read this story, so I'll just watch the adaptation now while I still have access to it, and then read the story. And then I ended up just not really caring about reading the story, and I feel like I don't really want to check out the book, the ebook again just to read that one story. But this took me quite a while to read, and there were some stories in this that I really enjoyed, but others that I was a little bit meh on. Ones that stand out are the Le Misier, I don't know how you pronounce it. Le Misier something inheritance. I don't know how you pronounce the L word, which is kind of unfortunate because I am supposed to be able to speak French and I cannot pronounce the name. I want to say Le Misier inheritance. Yeah, that one. That kind of stands out in my brain, as well as Third Floor Flat does, but I don't know if it does for good reasons or bad reasons. I can't really remember. I remember seeing the adaptation and thinking it was quite boring, so maybe that's what I felt about the story. And Plymouth Express, I enjoy, but again, it's not that amazing of a plot twist. I think I liked Submarine Plans. How Does Your Garden Grow is a great one. I really like that one because it's so incredibly messed up. And it's just really, that story is just really upsetting because the killer, really had practically no motive. Like, their motive was really stupid, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm not going to give you details because that would ruin it. But I would recommend that short story because it's very, it was really good, in my opinion. But yeah, it's like I've been reading this short story collection for so long at this point that I'm kind of forgetting all of the stories in my head. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go back and look at a list and kind of refresh my memory about how I felt about certain ones, and then I'll make a separate video about Poirot's early cases as well. So for that one, I am going to call that one finished. I read several of those in July, but yeah, I don't think that I'm going to go back and just check out the ebook for The Lost Mine. So yes, I will call that one finished at this point so that I can move on to Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which I will probably be reading in, I'm thinking October, maybe, because that's Halloweenish, you know, and I feel like Poirot is a very good detective to read at Halloween, so, yep. At this point, I'm tired and I'm just rambling, so sorry. But anyway, that's everything that I read in July, and I'm probably going to do a current reads video. I'm not going to do a TBR for August, just because I really don't like those anymore. And they tend to get me in trouble with my reading because then I end up not sticking to it. But anyway, so I'll do a current reads video after this. Let me know what you think of any of the things that I did get to in July. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.